Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Back on the practice field today, and Sean Payton explained first day with officials at practice. Kat Terrell of The Athletic was there as well. Saints reporter, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Kat, thanks for the time. How are you? Hey, Kat, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. We appreciate it. How was it different today with officials out there?
It actually really wasn't that different. They only threw maybe one or two flags. I thought that Ken Crawley might get flagged more than he did because the way he plays or has played leading up to this, we kind of thought, he might be drawing some defensive pass interference penalties. But it was all good. But Peyton did say, tonight we're going to go over the video and the points of emphasis this year. And as everyone probably knows by now, the point of emphasis is going to be taunting rules. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects C.J. Gardner-Johnson going forward.
I want to talk, speaking of C.J., I do want to talk about the defensive backs, especially with P. Rob's retirement. First, let me just start with a quick thought from you covering the team. What was your reaction when you heard about Robinson's retirement?
Well, I mean, it was kind of weird. So he hadn't been at practice for, I think, 2 days. I think he left early on Saturday. And, I mean, to be completely honest, P. Rob has been hurt a lot over the years. It kind of felt to me like, all right, well, he's hurt again. So we see 21 at practice, and we're indoors. So that means we're not allowed to tweet or post anything from practice until it's over. About 15 minutes in, somebody realizes that it's not P. Rob. It's Prince Amukamara, who really hasn't looked great in camp. So we thought, did he get cut? Is he around? And so we're all kind of talking to each other, trying to figure this out. And, my initial thought was, did P. Rob go on IR? But they wouldn't have given his number away. So, obviously it got out pretty quickly, and we were kind of handcuffed.
We have Kat back now. Kat, sorry, when we lost you there, you were kind of talking about P. Rob and that he wasn't obviously cut. But let's sort of take it to the next step, which is, what are the defensive back rotations looking like right now without P. Rob and obviously without a second outside corner?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize the call dropped, so I was just sitting there talking to myself.
It's happened to all of us. It's happened to all of us.
I think it shows I talk too much because I didn't even realize it. But the leader right now is Ken Crawley, and just based on Twitter reactions today, Saints fans are not feeling great about that. But I've seen, even when P-Rob was there, it was a lot of Marshawn Lattimore and Ken Crawley on the outside, and then C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the inside. Sometimes you have Brian Poole on the inside, and then Paulson and Debo is usually with the twos. So right now, to me, Ken Crawley's the leader. I don't know that Debo is ready. I guess that he would be the number two.
Kat, sorry, I know we're having some trouble. I apologize. We'll give it one more go, and if it fails again, we'll just chalk this up as not our day. But so the latest story here is that C.J. Henderson could be in play. What's your feeling on what this organization is going to do to address defensive back?
I think everyone is just waiting with bated breath to see if they trade for someone. I mean, it's going to be expensive. I think that's why it hasn't happened yet, or perhaps they're just waiting it out to the end of training camp to see who's available. But they have to bring someone in. I mean, I am surprised that we're not seeing more guys come in from the outside. Like Drake Kirkpatrick is still out there. I mean, I think he's got something left. I think there's a few other guys out there. Their whole Richard Sherman situation is definitely a little more complicated than them simply bringing him in. But I just think the options aren't great, and they've got to look elsewhere. I mean, so if they're going to go into the season with King Crawley as their number one. What happens if Crawley goes down? Do you go to a Debo? I don't know. I just think you need someone else.
What about also on the defensive line? It's a spot that we knew coming in was going to be a big question mark, but we haven't heard much about, especially on the interior. How are they looking there without really the numbers being that Sheldon Rankins and Malcolm Brown are gone?
I think it seems better than I thought it was. Maybe they just have some promising young players. I think Jalen Dalton is going to make this team. I think he's a super promising player and kind of showed that last year before he got hurt. I think Christian Ringo, who's a local kid, I think not a kid anymore, but a local guy, and I think he's going to make this team. He's made a ton of plays this week. It's going to hurt. I mean, not having the Animata and then not having Brown is going to be very different. You're going from a position with a ton of depth to a position with a bunch of unknowns, but it is kind of exciting. I mean, the rotation's been fun to watch. I think everyone's really focused more on the outside guys, like Turner and Davenport. But, man, I mean, I've seen the inside guys make a lot of plays this week and kind of in the practices leading up to this week.
Do you think they still add another player inside?
I kind of start to feel like it's not a necessary thing like I thought it might have been a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Like I thought maybe they'd take a look at someone like Geno Atkins, but I don't know if they feel like they have to do that now. I don't know. I mean, I think Saturday is going to tell us a lot when they actually play against someone other than their teammate.
Of course, Saturday they'll play against the Baltimore Ravens in the first preseason game. We'll get a thought on that here in just a second. Something else we haven't talked at all about is punter, and not just punter, but also the holder spot that Thomas Morstead occupied. Are we just saying that this is Gillikin's job and that's it, or is there a competition there?
I thought going into it there was competition, but I really think it's Gillikin's job to lose at this point. I mean, nothing against Cooney, but I just think that Gillikin has consistently boomed his punts. I think that he just looks good. The only thing I would say that they both need to work on is whenever they're inside, all they do is hit the ceiling. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, there's almost no punts that don't hit the ceiling. So if they had to go to Jerry World this year, that would be a problem, but I'm sure that's something that can be fixed.
All right, Catherine Terrell's with us on Twitter at @Cat_Terrell, theathletic.com/New Orleans. Out of obligation, let me ask about the wide receivers. Anybody standing out?
Well, I mean, everyone knows that is a position that is quite a challenge right now, but I think Marquez Callaway has really stepped up, consistently looks good day after day. Deontay Harris looks great, but we don't know if he's going to be there to start the season.
Yeah.
I think some other players have made plays. I don't know if that means they're going to make the team. Like Jalen McCleskey has had a lot of good plays, but I think he's hurt right now, or he hasn't been at practice today and last practice early yesterday. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him. Traquan Smith has been hurt. I think Chris Hogan not going to be any type of burner, especially at, this age, and we know what you're going to get out of him, but he has good hands and he's made a lot of plays. And honestly, Juwan Johnson, not receiver, but was a receiver. He has really come on strong lately and been pretty impressive.
And your obligatory quarterback question, everyone seems to say there's no separation. I'm still firmly entrenched in the camp that this is going to be Jameis Winston's job. Where do you fall on all of this, and what observations have you made of the two?
I said that going into camp too, but I'm not really sure I believe that anymore. I just think that it's such a mixed bag right now. I mean, yesterday they worked on a lot of 2-minute, and Jameis had a better first 2-minute drill, and then they came back, and I think Taysom's was better because it ended with this touchdown pass to Juwan Johnson that looked great. And then Jameis came back in, and it didn't really go anywhere. Today, Jameis had a better day. I mean, I think Taysom only completed 3 passes. It wasn't great, but I wouldn't say Winston was great either. I mean, maybe credit the defense, but there are a lot of sacks. I think Taysom was intercepted in 7-on-7. I think Winston was intercepted too. I don't have my notes in front of me. there's a lot of stuff to work on. So I really think we're going to start seeing separation during the first preseason game. And that kind of sounds like something one of the coaches would say, but I really can't get a handle on who's leading right now, which is probably not what people want to hear at this point, but it is what it is.
I'll bet every bottle of whiskey in my entire collection that Jameis Winston's the starting quarterback on this team.
I mean, I get why you feel that way. I mean, it really should. It should be his job to lose, honestly. But at the same time, someone should be separating themselves by now, right? I mean, the fact that they're not a good sign. But I don't know.
Last thing for you. Any idea how they plan to divvy up the reps in the preseason game on Saturday?
We asked them that today, and they weren't divulging anything. I mean, I would assume each of them gets a quarter, but I don't know. I mean, you got to keep them in long enough for them to get some sort of rhythm established. So I don't know. I would assume by quarter, but we'll see.
Man, are they just going to blow this thing up this year, Kat? I mean, are they just going to absolutely just tank it, faceplant, and try to get a top 5 pick and draft a quarterback?
I really don't think so. And I actually, someone was asking us for predictions the other day on this piece they're doing, and I said 10-7, and then they said that sounds like a homer pick. And in my mind, I said 10-7 because in my mind it still relates it to 9-7.
Right.
So I was like,
true.
Yeah, I was like middle of the pack, and they're like, "Do you think they're gonna win 10 games?" And so now, of course, I'm gonna be the homer, and I was like, It's not that I feel super positive. I just have covered really bad Saints teams or bad Saints defenses that were torched left and right, and somehow still won 7 to 9 games. And this defense is not that bad, the cornerback situation aside. So I guess I have a little more faith that they can pull together some wins, but it would be a pretty big step for them to make a playoff run. But, you know, Sean Payton has surprised before. But, man, one thing after another with this team. It never ends. I mean, I'm sure something will happen as I'm sitting here talking. It's crazy.
Please don't jinx it. Kat Terrell,
seriously.
She's on Twitter at @Kat_Terrell from theathletic.com/New Orleans. I'll give her a follow on Twitter. Great stuff. Thanks, Kat. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, and sorry for the technical difficulties.
It happens. The digital world. We all live in it. We enjoy it when it's good, and we commiserate in it when it's bad. All the best. Safe travels.
All right, thanks.
All right, see ya. It is after further review. Glad to have you aboard with us here. But she's right about the record thing. It's like we have to. I talked about this when they officially went to 17. We have to condition ourselves to what a record means. Like 10 wins isn't the same. Like 10-6 is not the same as 10-7. Like literally, it's not the same. But we'd always look and say, okay, well, if you get to 10 wins, you're in the playoffs. Well, is 10-7 more like 10-6 or more like 9-7? Like, which is going to more closely resemble the old record, the win or the loss total? That's what we're going to start to learn as we move through this new format with 17 games. So we're all going to have to condition ourselves accordingly. Like, there is no 500 anymore. You're either 9-8 or you're 8-9, which is where I think the Saints fall. One game either above or under 500. I haven't made my decision.